6:40. So will you take that?
Everything turned
Sure.
back on here. So we'll be going through several reports here. First one, Mr. Campbell, kind of jump in here and lead.
Yes,
'Cause I
sir.
know you
So
know the order.
we will do the district report to the public, the elementary report to the
Okay.
public, and then we will adjourn that meeting. We will have the middle school report to the public as a separate meeting,
Right.
adjourn that meeting, have the high school report to the public, adjourn that meeting, and then the Title I and federal programs report to the public. Because we have to have separate meetings for
Right.
the two charter schools and the Title I and federal programs.
So I
and-
know it's not that easy. What I'd ask everybody to do is kind of turn their chair and kind of watch the screen as we kind of proceed, because we're going to do a review versus you trying to follow along on a monitor. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and begin with the district report.
Certainly. So it is a little bizarre that we're sitting here at the beginning of 2020, and really the bulk of what you will see in the reports from the buildings and the district level reflect back to the same goals that we presented to you at this time last year. Particularly, so many of our goals are based on performance data as far as state testing is concerned, and we did not do state testing in the spring, so all of our state testing numbers just roll on over with the goals going forward. But there you see our vision. You all have that on the wall outside or inside the boardroom, and you know that that is what we are striving to do: inspire, motivate, and prepare every student to be confident, productive, knowledgeable, and goal-oriented. Your goals, which you have set as a board, continue in place at this time: improve student achievement, provide a learning environment that will create and maintain safety and security for all, provide for future growth and expansion. You looked at some of that tonight with some of your building fund purchases and the construction going out to bid on the excavation. You have as a goal developing a systematic district-wide communication method, and you know that there have been significant steps made toward that in the last year. Providing physical, and human resources essential to an exemplary learning environment, and you've taken some steps in that direction with adding steps to the salary schedules and those sorts of things in the last year. I have linked into this report our Ready for Learning plan in response to COVID-19, because in conjunction with all of those goals that you have set, and in conjunction with the goals that each of the buildings have, all of that kind of falls under this umbrella of the Ready for Learning plan in response to COVID-19. Particularly, I will point out that under this link, if you go to the academic section, then you will see a little outline of what each one of the buildings have planned for the virtual Fridays, and so that's linked in there. I've also shared with you, as of last Friday, the virtual options, the virtual students we have compared to the total, and those numbers may not total up to the same number that you'll see a little later in the report. That's because the date on this is the 16th, and the October 1 date is what we're operating on in the other numbers. We are required each year to report the school board members' training hours for the year, so this is for January through October of 2020. I believe you're required to have, is it 12 by the end of the year? And so you see that you need to be proceeding on getting your hours in this last little bit of the year. We do thank you for your service and appreciate you undertaking the effort to get those hours. We are required to share this information with you. Our discipline policies are distributed to parents. That's through our website. Discipline training provided to staff. Parental involvement plan has been adopted, and the middle, high school, and elementary schools are all fully accredited. These are our graduation rates. You'll see there that we have steadily risen for the last 3 years. We're up to 91%. If you were to pull up the My School Info, you would see a different number, but if you ferret around in the State Department of Education website, you will find where these numbers come from the 5-year cohort, and so you have to get out to that point. And right now in the My School Info, it doesn't go all the way out to the 5-year cohort. These are our October 1 enrollment numbers. You'll see that we're at 469 total in the elementary school, with an additional 32 in preschool. You'll see that we're at 417 in the middle school, and we are at 430 at the high school as of October 1, for a total of 1,318, or 1,350 if you include all of those preschoolers. As required each year, we'll share with you the gifted and talented program information. There are 77 gifted and talented program students identified in grades 4 through 12. K through 4 all receive whole group enrichment. K through 3 teachers have the talents training. There are 2 fourth graders who are served. Miss White goes in and meets with them. There are a total of 6 fifth graders, 8 sixth graders, 8 seventh graders, and 10 eighth graders that receive services, 10 ninth graders, 14 10th graders, 13 11th graders, and 6 12th graders who receive services in the gifted and talented program. Special education numbers, this is our district profile and 3-year trend, taking us through December 1st of 2019. You'll see there that we're at 204 students identified with some sort of learning disability. So that is the district required information for its annual report to the public, and we will shift to Ms. Curry.
Okay. I have probably about as many slides as Mr. Campbell and a little less than the middle and high school, so I'm not going to take very long. You can read those in depth. You maybe already have or can do that after this. I do want to go over a few celebrations. This year, the administration and teachers are fully committed to building strong programs that will grow all students academically, socially, and emotionally. Our teachers are working very hard to adjust pacing and instruction to meet all students' needs, despite being out for COVID. These are the last 2 years' scores that I had in last year's report. Our ESSA score, we didn't have one being out for COVID, but I wanted to leave that documentation up there. I feel like we're on a very good growing trend and we're on the right track, so I just want us to keep that in mind as we move forward this year. Same scores they were from the last couple years since we didn't have any new scores. Our goals this year are very similar to last year since we ended early, and they're focused around the areas of ESSA. I'm just going to kind of summarize those goals, and you can read those in depth later. Robin, if you want to go to the next one. But basically, we really focus hard at the elementary level on increasing our literacy in math by increasing their achievement scores, focusing hard on our Tier 1 core instruction in the classrooms, coming together through our new RTI program where we meet together as teachers and teams to decide to look at student strengths and student weaknesses and how we can analyze multiple points of data to grow our students. And that's pretty much several slides, so I won't read each one of those. You can keep going. Go back one more. This was the last 2 years' data, and I want to bring attention to the purple. because in the first year I came, we really spent the first 2 years working on those programs like I just described. And our big thing in the elementary as well as every building, and not just with ESSA, is growing kids. We know that all kids will perform at different rates, but our goal is to grow kids and help them to be as successful as possible. So in each area they grew, and of course that was almost 2 years ago, so I am highly confident that our kids will continue to grow this year as well. I wanted to end, because elementary is always a little different. I know you like to see pictures of kids. This year is a little bit different. We all know coming to school, so I think I'm the only one that included pictures, but I feel like it's important that you see these. Sometimes they're on social media, sometimes they're not. So these are some, looks like we got kindergartners in that slide before on iPads, second graders working. Our teachers use microphones around their masks. That has been a tremendous help for the kids to be able to hear them since they have to keep their masks on. Just kiddos working in little small groups, and just some really good things we have going on at the elementary. Our FACES program is still in session. It's almost up to our original amount. We have 140 kids enrolled. The last couple years average was 150 to 170, so we are running really well, and that is going pretty productive. So I think everything at the elementary is going very smooth, and I'm very pleased with our progress so far.
Got it? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and adjourn the annual report to the public, or the Fountain Lake School District annual report to the public, and we're going to go ahead and start with the Fountain Lake Cobras Digital Prep Academy annual report to the public for the middle school.
I may have more slides, but Ms. Curry probably talks a lot longer than I will anyway. All right, so if we'll go to the second slide, it has our goal set. Just as Ms. Curry made the comment, guys, we're still working on data that's a year out. So most everything you're going to see is still built on what we received back in 2019. We are still working to grow students, and we still rely very heavily within our MAP data to help drive several things of our instruction. Last report card that we had would have given the middle school a B. We will continue to strive to grow that. The next slide, and I do want to kind of direct your attention. I'll have you go back one. No, sorry, go forward. To the very last column. You know, one of our big conversations from June, July, and August has been about regression with kids. So when we finished our MAP data, and please remember MAP is used nationwide, so it's not just our kids. You're seeing in a comparison to students from across the United States. So the first number up here on reading, the very last column, where it says 208.5, that is Fountain Lake students. The 204.5 is comparison to the nation. Okay, so our positive here is we are not as behind as we thought we would be. Okay, but we have a great start, and if you'll kind of notice, you know, everything from 2012 to 2019, basically you're just watching growth from the spring scores. On the next score is the math, and I've kind of given you the same comparison. So you see Fountain Lake in comparison to where kids are in the nation. And once again, it just gives us a place to know where our kids are at and how we can move forward from here. Probably the next 4 slides are things you've seen before. This is just our ACT Aspire data. Once again, it gives us a point of reference, kind of helps us try to figure out what we need to grow and where we need to grow and what we need to accomplish.
Mr. J, before you
Sir.
move into Leader and Me, you know, we were having that conversation around what we thought possibly was regression because we'd had that long lapse. And we, you know, it may be more attributed about kids getting back into the routine of school when they actually sat down and took assessments. There wasn't the degree of regression, but their ability to get back into the routine of school looked a little different when we opened the first month when you attribute to,
Yes, sir.
that as a possibility, because we really did feel like we were gonna see some regression based on behavioral actions.
Correct. But, you know, from the kids who have been on site, even the kids who are working virtually, you know, we still deal with the same headaches of not getting stuff turned in. But
Right.
we were very excited about the fact that our kids were
Further
Not-
along than what we thought.
correct.
So I
Yes, sir.
just wanted to make sure the
Yeah.
board is aware of that, that snapshot was refreshing to us as educators, knowing of the challenges we're facing, not only teaching on-site, but also virtual kids. So go ahead there
All
with
right.
the leader and me.
So, as always with our leader and me, our entire middle school kind of works around the fact that we were looking to build and support student leaders. We build those through our 7 habits, our advisory classes, working on getting students the ownership of what they do. We like to provide the guest speakers, which is a little challenging this year. Well, we've had a lot of opportunities to have guest speakers in front of our kids to talk about the career opportunities that lie outside of high school, college, and we're hoping to be able to provide those virtually for our students they'll join in with through a hangout.
Have we tried any of those yet this year, because we really can't have them on site?
Correct? Not yet, no, sir.
Okay.
I'm still looking for takers.
Trying to engage students virtually in a career presentation.
Well, actually, it's trying to get the career people to come in
Actually do it.
and do it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's they're a little intimidated by having to do that through the hangout portion. They don't mind doing it with adults, but talking to 400 kids is a little unnerving sometimes. And then provide our students that ability to collaborate and work and create those soft skills needed for 21st century skills. And that's one of the things that we do every day with our project classes. And that's just more of the foundations from Leader and me. And then kind of our SMART goal template as we've set our goals, talks about being specific, measurable, achievable, results focused, and time bound.
Okay, we're gonna need to close that
Close that one?
meeting.
Okay. So we're going to adjourn that meeting, the Fountain Lake Middle School Cobra Digital Prep Academy one. And we're going to move on to the Fountain Lake Conversion Charter High School Annual Report to the public. So,
Okay, so this is our second year in our renewed charter. Last year we went up before the charter board, so this is our second year in this renewed charter, and we are using the same goals that we did our first 5 years. So meet or exceed state average in mathematics on the state assessment, meet or exceed state average in English language arts on the state assessment. This is our second year in utilizing the new ELA curriculum. It's going fantastic, it fit right in because of the COVID, and we're doing a lot of digital. It's got its own digital piece, which makes it very easy and a transition for the kids to use. Next slide, meet or exceed, go back one. Okay, meet or exceed state average in science on state assessment, increase the number of students who earn college hours or complete a program of study by 3% annually. Next slide. Increase the number of students who reach all 4 college and career readiness benchmarks on the ACT to the national average by 2024. 2024 is when this charter will come up for renewal. So that's why we put that year in there. Increase by 3% yearly the number of students participating in internships. Also, if you look at that internship, from 18-19, we had 19 students, and then last year we had 40 students, which is an increase in 53%. It is down this year, back to 19 students. This is due to a lot of our juniors and seniors are in our internship program, and with 50% of our senior class being virtual due to COVID, they're not participating in that internship program, and the same thing with our juniors. So for character building, last year, our advisory class was just on Wednesdays. We're now meeting every day for 20 minutes during third period. We're identifying goals that ensure the curriculum is aligned with GUIDE. Students engaged in teacher-generated lessons. We also still do our senior shout-out
These student pictures are displayed in the hallway when they're accepted the college of their choice. And then the 30 ACT Club, students' picture displayed right there on the right side of the hallway when you enter the high school with their picture on there. I left the same ACT Aspire results from 9th grade and 10th grade that we used last year because due to COVID, we did not ACT Aspire test for 7 through 12, or I guess the whole district, 3 through 12. Okay, this is the average ACT scores. This is the 5 years of testing. If you notice, from 19 to 20, we did take a small dip, but we are still above the state average. Last year, our juniors tested in Safe Room A. They tested the same week that we dismissed due to COVID. And that was the morning they went in there, and in March, April, it's still cool outside. Our heating unit had gone out, which it was really cold in Safe Room A. So with those two combined, I'm not making excuses, but for those two combinations of things, I can see that our testing went down a little bit, but we are still above the state average and have been, and we're continuing to make strides to increase our ACT scores through our ACT prep classes. And then Ms. Keys is also, she's got an abundance of time now since the district testing coordinator's been taken out of her hands. She's got a lot more time now to pull in our juniors and seniors and freshmen and sophomore and develop a 4-year plan, or continue that 4-year plan through Cooter that our teachers will have access to and parents will have access to. And that's the end of the slideshow for high school.
Okay, thank you. We will go ahead and adjourn the Fountain Lake Conversion Charter High School Annual Report to the public, and we will move on to the Federal Programs Annual Report to the public.
Thank you. And so tonight we will wrap up with this final meeting. We're going to talk about our federal funding and our state categorical funds. Specifically, we're going to begin by looking at Title I. So jump on down, Ms. Robin. So there you'll see that our allotment for 2020-2021 just about doubled from the preceding year to $420,189.60. If you look down below, you'll see there that the allotment is based on the 2018 census data, and that 2018 census data has us at 26.58% of our students living below the poverty level. That's not free or reduced lunch, that's the poverty level. And so by bumping up over that 25% mark, it put us for the year into a broader range of funding. You'll see that 18.3% was the poverty rate the year before, and we don't have the 19 census data at this point in time to forecast what the allotment will be for next year. But we did have a significant increase in that funding. You'll see there from the slide that we fund 2 Title I teachers in the 5-8. We fund parental involvement, homeless. We purchase supplemental materials and supplies, and we fund the same level of funding for our students, and there are 5 of them this year, who are private school students at St. John's. St. John's chooses to participate in our federal programs funding, and so we fund those students at St. John's as well. The increase will be dedicated to additional supplemental materials and supplies and professional development. If we see that we are going to stay at that poverty rate for an extended period of time and that allotment would be that much higher, then we would look a little deeper at how to expend those funds. We had been going in a downward trend with Title I, and so it was a little surprising for it to jump up that high. If you go on, Ms. Robbins got us on the Title II-A. These are funds that are set aside by the federal government for improving teacher quality. We used it for supplemental professional development. Our allotment this year is $60,694.58. So we will be using that for supplemental professional development. Normally, we send people places, but we will not be sending people places, so we will have to figure out how to virtually provide supplemental professional development. The Title IV is Student Support Academic Enrichment Grant. This was just a little fund of money that the state had set aside, or the federal government had set aside with the adoption of the Every Student Succeeds Act. I think really kind of to offset the decreases that we were experiencing with Title I. And so it's not a very large fund of money. We use it for supplemental instructional materials and supplies, and it runs about that $16,000 mark each year. Title V, we do receive some rural low-income students money. Supplemental professional development is how that money is used, and we had an allotment this year of $26,975.75. Parental involvement is a portion that we have to speak about in the federal programs meeting. We do have a parental advisory committee. We have parent facilitators in each building, district and building parental involvement plans. We also have all sorts of, normally we have all sorts of parental involvement opportunities, but many of those are having to find virtual options this year. Saying that, I know they did have a band parents meeting in person a couple of weeks ago, so they have had a face-to-face meeting, but everything else is having to be run in some sort of virtual fashion. Mr. Freeman asked that I share with you on the 21st Century Learning Center. That grant has been extended for one additional year because of COVID-19, so he was awarded an additional $120,000. The 5-year grant cycle then becomes a 6-year grant cycle, and the total for that cycle is $780,000. It's a cooperative venture between Walnut Valley Baptist Church and the Living Word Worship Center in the school. You know that it does the targeted interventions. He is undergoing a youth program quality assessment process to evaluate the effectiveness of the program. They averaged they had 222 participants total different participants last year, 46% of the K4, and in the upcoming spring, they will apply again for that grant program. The ESSA money, which used to be the NSLA funding, Enhanced Student Achievement, $526 per student is what we receive on that. So this year, $355.05. We provide 3 literacy dyslexia interventionists. We provide 3 paraprofessionals for instructional assistance, and we pay what we pay for our part-time volunteer coordinator out of that. We pay for some instructional technology and some testing, and if there's any left, some supplemental professional development. ELL money, we will not know until the spring what this year's allotment is. Last year we had an additional $11,385. We get $338 per child. This year we get $352. Last year we got $338, but we don't know what that fund will be actually until the spring. Professional development, they upped the amount on that. We get $36 per student, so $47,979. We pay our Dawson Co-op fees out of that, and we pay some money to Henderson State University for some partnerships and any sort of on-site or off-site professional development or training that our folks might need. ALE, our funding this year, and that's based on full-time student enrollment equivalent. $4,700 is what we get per student. We operate in conjunction with Jesseville at the Arch Ford Co-op, the Boys and Girls Club, and we have an on-site ALE classroom, so we're able to generate additional funding from both of those places. This year, our allotment was increased $23,459, and that's directly tied to the number of students that we have enrolled in that program. And that does conclude my report on the federal and state categorical funding.
Okay, so we will go ahead and adjourn the federal program's annual report to the public. We are done. They cut me off. We are done. Good night, everybody.